Bechoros Daf Yud Ches. Egla Rufa. A murder victim was found next to a city. The closest city has to bring a calf decapitated in Nachal Eson. If the murder victim was found exactly between two cities, they measured and it came out exact measurements between two cities. Three-way machlokes. Either you don't bring any Egla Rufa, or you bring one Egla Rufa, or you bring two. Tanakama says you don't bring any, because it says Kroiva, it can only be close to one city and not to two, and therefore since it's close to two, you don't bring any. Rabbi Elazar says Kroiva means also Kroivais, so you bring two. And Chachamim say you bring one and you make a condition. Both cities participate in buying this Egla, and they say, if the murder victim came from our city, we're the ones that brought it, and if the murder victim came from the other city, they're the ones that brought it. But you see from here, the Chachamim hold that that humans can't possibly measure precisely to the same spot. It's impossible that this murder victim actually happened, the murder happened between the two cities exactly. And that's why they only bring one. If two Bechorim, two males were born from one animal simultaneously, the Mishnah says, Rabbi Kiva holds, Mishamnim Beinayim. Says the Gemara a very interesting lashon. Rabbi Chiyat bar Abba told Rabbi Yochanan, I believe that the halacha means, Mishamnim, you do yachloiku, you split, you divide between the kohen and the owner. Says Rabbi Yochanan, Adochalt kafni Yosef bevavel, targimno miseifa. While you were busy indulging yourself, eating dates in Bavel, we already figured out the Mishnah from the Seifa. In other words, the Seifa says that Rabbi Kiva holds, so therefore the Reish also, Mishamne means, let the Kohen bring a Raya, because the Yisrael is the one that's holding onto this animal, so the Yisrael gets the larger animal, the Kohen gets the worse animal. But the owner, who has the better animal, he's chayiv b'matnis kuna. He has to give, according to Rameir, he has to give zroya l'choyayim v'keva to the kohen. Why? Because the kohen comes with a memanavshach, mishnei tzdadim. He comes from both angles. He tells the Yisrael, what you have in your hand is either a bechar and it belongs completely to me, or if you say it's not a bechar, it's born second, then it's a regular chulin animal, and you have to give me matnis kuna. So therefore, he has to give matnis kuna because the kohen at the end of the day gets a full animal at matnas kuhuna. Rabbi Yossi says no. Rabbi Yossi comes with a big chiddush. Rabbi Yossi says that we pretend as if the kohen owned the animal and gave it to the Yisrael. They made a deal. The Yisrael gives the kohen the smaller animal, and the kohen who owned this larger animal for a moment gives it to the Yisrael. And therefore, since he owned it momentarily, a kohen who sells an animal to Yisrael because it has a mum, you don't have to give matnas kuna for that. Why did Chachamim enact this gzeira and pretend that he owned it? Because Chachamim were concerned that if the Yisrael gave matnas kuna, people would consider that animal as complete chulin, and they might come to work it and shear its wool, and it's possible that the animal is a bechar, so we got to be concerned. However, in a case where there's only a suffix bechar, we don't enact that, and you are chayiv b'matnas kuna. What's a suffix bechar? Such as if an animal gave birth to twins, a male and a female, and it's possible that the female came out first, and therefore there's no bechar at all. I would think the Rabbi Yossi holds that we have to be concerned that people might confuse this animal as a non-bechar and use it for work or share it. Nevertheless, we're not concerned, and he's chayiv b'matonis. In the case of suffix meiser, what is suffix meiser? If you have 10 animals, you let them out of the pen, the 10th one becomes meiser. What do you do with the meiser? You use it for yourself as a shlamim. It goes to the owner. It's not the koyet. So what happens if you took a meiser and the animal jumped back into the pen, and we don't know which animal was the meiser? Each animal could be a suffix meiser now, so you can't eat them. So what do? You wait until they all get mumim, and then you eat them. In that case, you don't have to give matnas kuhuna because the kohen has no claim, because he doesn't have two claims. He only comes from one angle. The angle that it's a meiser, it's not even his, it's completely the Yisrael's. If an animal gave birth to two males, and one of them died, Reb Tarfon says, Yachloiku, you split between the kohen and the Yisrael. Obviously, Reb Tarfon retracted his original svar that we had the other day. The Reb Tarfon held that the stronger twin always wins the race and comes out first. Over here you see that he doesn't hold that anymore, because otherwise he wouldn't say Yachloiku. He'd say, let's check who died. If the stronger one died, then the kohen doesn't get anything. 3 cases. If 2 people entrust one animal each to a third-party shepherd, and one of the animals died, and we don't know whose animal died, the shepherd simply takes the remaining animal and puts it between the two and says, do whatever you want with it, yachleiku. So in our case also, when 2 males were born and one died, and they were entrusted by a shepherd. So the shepherd takes the remaining animal, puts it between the Kohen and the Yisrael, and says, fight it out. If one person entrusted his one animal with the shepherd, and the shepherd had one animal, and one animal died, now we don't know whose animal died, the shepherd always wins. He has the upper hand because he's holding on to the animal, so the other person has to bring a raya. In our case too, if the Yisrael is holding on to the Bechar, the remaining Bechar, let the Kohen bring a raya. However, the third case is different. And here's the machlokes. If the animal is in the Yisrael's property, but the Kohen is the shepherd, and the Yisrael, says Rebbe Tarfon, would give the ability to the Kohen to make a kinyan and use his property to make a kinyan in the Bechar. Why? Because a person wants to enable other people to use his property for mitzvahs. But Rebbe Kiva says, no, that's only good when it's a mitzvah. But when it causes harm, like in our case, the Yisrael is not going to let the Kohen use his property to cause the Yisrael harm. And therefore, he never made a kinyan, and Hamatzim Chaveroi Alav Arayim. Says the Mishnah, if a person has two animals that never gave birth before, and they both gave birth to males, then obviously they're both Bechorim and both go to the Kohen. If one is a male, one is a female, the Kohen only gets one. If they gave birth to twins, and you have a total of two males and one female, it's possible that one of the animals gave birth to a female first. So the Kohen only gets one. Which one does he get? Reb Tarfon at the end of the day says, you do Yachloiku. Rebbe Kiva says, the Kohen gets the lesser of the two. And the bigger one, you have to let it graze, and you have to give him matas kuna. But what's the difference between this case and the case that we had before with the one animal giving birth to two animals simultaneously? Says the Gemara, because when you see a very large animal, it's obvious, you could say that Rebbe Kiva would admit that it's obvious that he was born from the animal that the animal that gave birth to one, because a single animal is larger than twins. Nevertheless, Rebbe Kiva says no. If you have two animals, one never gave birth before, so her firstborn, her birth is going to be a firstborn. Another animal, the second animal, gave birth before, and now you have two males in front of us. One is a bechar, one is not a bechar. Which one, the bechar, which animal does the Kohen get? Reb Tarfon says the Kohen gets the nicer one. Reb Kiva says and you have to give matnas kuna. And Reb Yossi says you don't have to give matnas kuna, like he said before, that since the Kohen since the Kohen owned it momentarily, so that gave a ptur to the bechara. And the chiddush is over here that again the same kind of svar that we had before. Since this animal never gave birth before, she probably gave birth to the larger animal. And I would think that Rebbe Kiva admits that it's not a Maitzim Chaver El Abraya. Kamashmalan that he says no, a Maitzim Chaver El Abraya. And finally, the last halacha: if two animals gave birth, one to a zachar and an akeva, they each gave birth. So the Kohen doesn't have anything because it's possible that they both gave birth to the akeva first, and the Kohen doesn't get anything. Have a wonderful day.